What's up, Mavericks? Welcome back. If you've been following my series, you already know the fundamentals of payment processing. We've covered how credit card processing fees work, how to calculate your effective rate, and how to reduce your costs without having to switch providers. You don't necessarily need to watch them, but they do give you a good foundation that will come in handy as you watch this video. If you have watched them, you might have done some quick math and realized, okay, I might be overpaying and it's time for me to switch processors. Now, most business owners hit this point. They go to Google, type in best credit card processor, and immediately get overwhelmed by ads, sponsored lists, sales reps, phony rates, and on and on and on. Comparing processors becomes a huge mess, but for most people, the real challenge isn't understanding the theory, it's turning all of that information into a very clear decision. So today I'm going to show you how to quickly and effortlessly find the right processor for your specific business using data, not sales tactics. My name is Ahmad Ebrahimi, founder at Merchant Maverick. I've been in this industry for over 15 years, and for a long time, the only real way to compare processors properly was to do it manually. Now, that could be as simple as writing things down in a notebook or using a spreadsheet or something similar. We even built a tool at Merchant Maverick for this a few years ago called the Cost Analysis Workbook. It was this massive, complex Excel spreadsheet that we let you download. A lot of you used it, plugged in your data, and found great rates. And you can still find it on our website if you want to download it. It worked, but let's be honest, spreadsheets are a pain. They're time-consuming, confusing, and most business owners don't want to spend their Friday night researching and debugging formulas. If you want to DIY this, you still can. The logic hasn't changed. The fees, pricing models, and math are all the same. What has changed is that we've taken everything we used to ask you to do manually and built it into a tool that does it for you accurately and consistently every time. So we scrapped the spreadsheet, we took all of that logic, all of that math, and turned it into a free software tool called Maverick Match. Maverick Match takes your actual business data, your industry, your volume, your transaction size, and runs it against real interchange rates and dozens of different fee variables. We match you with reputable processors that have been pre-vetted by our editorial team. No scams, no false advertising, and no smoke and mirrors. And because we've been in this space for so long and processors value the business we send them, we've been able to pre-negotiate discounted rates with many of our partners. That means if you use the tool, you can unlock rates that you cannot get by going to their website directly. Now, rather than talk about it abstractly, let me show you how it works using a few real scenarios. Okay, let's start with scenario one. Imagine I own a busy retail boutique. First, I click Get Started. And then step one asks whether I currently accept credit cards. Since I'm established, I'll select yes. Next, I'll choose my business type, retail store. On this step, I can pick my current processor. This helps us remove that option from our recommendations. In this case, I'll pick WorldPay. For monthly processing volume, let's say 50,000. Now here I can state how much I'm currently paying in processing fees per month. This can easily be found on your monthly statement, let's say 2,000. And right away, you can see the tool calculates my effective rate at 4% and flags it as concerning and likely overpaying. As an alternate, let's just say my fees were $1,000 a month. The tool would tell me I have an excellent rate and probably don't need to switch processors based on cost alone. Moving on, I'll input average transaction size, about 15 bucks. I can enter a custom amount. Business location is US. I'm not considered high risk. We'll run that scenario soon though. I'll pick how I accept payments. In my case, it'll be in person. On the feature screen, notice how the tool automatically pre-selects point of sale functionality. It already understands what a retail business typically needs. I can select or unselect from there. This will change based on my business type, of course. Then I enter my contact information here. Now let's look at the results. You'll notice there's a lot of information on this screen. I'm not going to unpack all of it just yet. We'll break down exactly how these recommendations are generated in a few minutes. For now, I just want you to see how the results change based on the business type. You'll notice Maverick Match is not recommending a flat rate provider here. At this volume, flat rate pricing usually becomes expensive. Instead, it's matching this business with either a membership model or a highly competitive Interchange Plus provider. You can see the projected effective rate, estimated monthly costs, and how those compare to the current setup. And this is exactly why volume and pricing models matter. The cheapest processor depends entirely on how your business actually operates. Now let's flip it. Scenario 2, I'm launching a new e-commerce business. This time I'll select no, I'm new to credit card processing. I'll choose e-commerce as the business type. Monthly volume, let's say 2,000. Average transaction, 50 bucks. I'm a US business, not high risk, and I accept payments online only. On the feature screen, notice that the tool now prioritizes online store integrations over a POS system. Fill out my info real quick and unlock my recommendations. And when we get to the results, you'll see a completely different set of recommendations. At this volume, membership pricing doesn't make sense. The monthly subscription fee would outweigh any interchange savings, and even a competitive interchange plus rate is still not cost effective enough. Instead, Maverick Match recommends a flat rate provider. Even though the percentage looks higher, there are no monthly fees and the flexibility matters more at this stage. So same tool, same logic, completely different outcome because the business is different. All right, now this last scenario is critical. Let's say I operate in a regulated or high-risk industry, maybe CBD, firearms, or credit repair. For this situation, let's say I'm an e-commerce CBD business. I'll enter my volume, let's say $20,000 per month. My average transaction is 75 bucks, and I'm US based. Okay, now watch this. Here's the simple toggle that asks whether the business operates in a high-risk category. And for that, I'll select yes. Once I select it, it clearly lists the types of businesses this applies to. Next, I'll choose online payments, move on to my feature selection, then fill out my information real quick. And once I do that, look at what happens. All of the standard processors, the ones most likely to freeze funds or shut down the account, are totally filtered out. What's left are processors that actually support high-risk businesses. That single selection can prevent held funds, account shutdowns, and a lot of unnecessary stress for high-risk businesses. So there it is. You've now seen the cost estimates and recommendations across a few different scenarios. Now let me explain how Maverick Match actually pulls all of that together. The system looks at three big things at the same time. First, it evaluates cost efficiency using real interchange data and projected fees based on your volume and transaction size, not headline rates or marketing claims. Second, it factors in our editorial research and ratings. We look at things like transparency, contract terms, customer support, and long-term reliability because the cheapest option isn't always the best one. And third, it evaluates feature fit. That means whether a processor actually supports how your business operates, your payment methods, your industry, and the tools you need to run day to day. All of that gets combined into a single match score, which lets you compare processors side by side and see which option makes sense for your business, not in theory, but in practice. And so here's the takeaway. You shouldn't need to be a payments expert to get a fair deal. We've created a ton of educational content for you if you want to become one, but it shouldn't be required, and you shouldn't have to rely on sales pitches to make a decision that is this important. Maverick Match gives you clarity, and clarity is what lets you decide whether to stay, renegotiate, or switch with confidence. Try Maverick Match using the link in our description or go to merchantmaverick.com/maverickmatch. It's completely free, and even if you don't switch processors, you'll walk away with real numbers you can use to negotiate a better deal. If you want to DIY this manually, you can, but Maverick Match saves you hours and removes the guesswork. Knowledge is power, and in this case, it's also profit. Thanks for watching, Mavericks. Find the right processor at the right cost. Use Maverick Match today. I'll see you in the next video.